right now it's time to find out where John is on the show floor. Are you there, John?
Yes, I am. Hi, Ben. As he says, we are walking the show floor this year at BVE 2014, and I am under your control. Yes, that's right. If you want to send me to a stand, then please send an email, as Ben has said, to live@broadcastshow.com, or send us a tweet, which is @BroadcastShow. Tell me where you would like me to go. I mean, we have so much to see here at BVE. I'm going to start later on with this man, Guy Thatcher, over here at Hire a Camera. You'll see that interview a bit later. But we have everybody from Serialite to MTF. We have Sony, Canon, JVC are here. I can see Panasonic, CVP, the list goes on. There is a lot of people here for you to see. If you can't get here, guide me and I'll go and have a chat with them. In the meantime, I'm going to hand back to Ben at the studio. He's just getting ready with his next guest. So watch the live show with Ben and his guests this morning. And then every now and again, we're going to come back to me and you can be ready to see whatever we're doing. In a minute, while we get the guests ready, I'm going to shoot off down here in a second and go and have a look at what's over down there I've seen. Oh, JVC. I'm definitely going to have a look at them later. You'll probably see that. Ben is now ready. I'm going to hand back to you, Ben. Your guest is all lined up. Enjoy the show from the studio.
Thank you very much indeed, John. Ben is now ready, and Ben is joined on the sofa by Tom Page, who is the director at PLA Studio.
That's right.
Good to meet you, Tom.
Good to meet you.
We're going to talk a little bit about gaming, a little about second screen, a little
right.
all that kind of stuff. You've got a seminar going on later today.
Yeah, we're going to be on a panel. We're going to be discussing the sort of transition from competitor to companion when it comes to games and gaming. How broadcasters can look at their IP, look at their content, and consider how best to move it into that side of things.
Tell us a little bit then, first of all, about yourself and about the company.
So PLA Studios is based in Brick Lane here in London, and we make games generally in collaboration with people from other media. We do a lot of games with musicians. We've done some work with the Army, work with a lot of brands, a lot of companies that don't traditionally have anything to do with gaming but are thinking about moving into that area. We help them, introduce them to how gaming works and how they should think about getting the most out of it.
So how did you get involved with all this? How did it all start?
I used to be in marketing, actually. I used to be in digital marketing, and I found myself more and more looking at more interesting ways, more engaging ways of presenting content and brands, and eventually that came around to making games. It was originally on the iPhone. When the iPhone and the App Store first started to become big, there was a lot of opportunity there, a lot of people really keen to get involved.
So the question in the seminar is gaming and connected viewing. How are broadcasters, it's a long one.
It's a long one, it is a long one.
How are broadcasters and content owners embracing gaming in their content offering?
Sure.
Discuss.
More importantly, how should they be? Rather than how are they actually doing it at the moment? So as the title kind of suggests, there's gaming and games have been a form of a media in their own right, and a very interactive one rather than, one might argue, a passive one for television and broadcasting. So they were obviously seen as competition. Quite often they were on the same screen. Do you have the television on, or are you playing a game on that dumb screen in your living room on that television? Were you on your phone? Were you on a tablet device now, or are you looking at the television, or are you doing both? And does it matter? Should you be concentrating on one or another, or is there room here to do something really meaningful and engaging using the pair?
Right, okay. It sounds like my mum, who's got the telly on. She's got something else on the iPad, and she's got Candy Crush.
And we all do it, and we don't even notice we're doing it.
Oh, my dad noticed.
You notice? Your dad notices. The person doing it tends not to notice.
Doesn't talk to me anymore. All she's doing is playing on her iPad.
Well, that's what we're going to explore. Is there an opportunity there that's really not being taken full advantage of? Should that content be separate? As you were just saying, in that particular example, you've got the telly on in the background, and someone's playing Candy Crush or some game like that, which has nothing to do with the content that they have on the television. So is there something more we could be doing there?
So I take it the simplest version of this, before you bring the gaming in, is stuff like social media. So with a Twitter feed on your tablet, with a Twitter feed or Facebook and that kind of stuff. Is that where it all kind of starts?
Well, that's one route that you're pointing out there. It's a complementary, it's an add-on, it's a supplementary feature to what you're viewing on the television. You can discuss it here, but the focus is still on the content that's on your telly. You have just another way of interacting with it, and other people and the way they interact with it and what they think about it on your second screen, as it were. But that's not the be all and end all. There's more there. That's just where this behaviour came from, and where I think the opportunity and the visibility of this opportunity came from.
So do you think this kind of behaviour just kind of happened because of the technology and because that second screen is there, or is it something that marketing guys or ex-marketing guys like yourself have developed, and how do you kind of push people in that direction? Or push is wrong word.
Maybe we don't need to. I mean, the question kind of is, should we be pushing them in that direction? Is there really a genuine opportunity? There's a lot of talk out there about second screen, about what you can do, and about gaming and how it can be linking to television. And I think a lot of the times people need to take a step back and just think about a few things a little earlier on before they delve into it. People make a lot of assumptions about gaming and the way people interact with game content. And usually that comes from their experience with television.
So, talk me through this game content. So people at home are thinking, maybe, I don't know, what are you thinking at home? Are you thinking Angry Birds? Are you thinking Candy Crush? Are you thinking something a lot simpler? What does the gaming's quite a broad subject?
Well, there's two ways to look at it, I guess. There's potentially gaming content which supplements and it augments what's happening on your screen, what's on your telly. Now, that's something that is very much a second screen. This is happening at the same time. It's important that those two things, they don't stand in isolation. The app or the game itself means nothing without the television content on the bigger screen. But then there's the whole content and the IPs themselves, the brands, if you will, and all the content that comes from television, which have a fan base, and they have expectations, and they have people like this already. What more can you do with that content? And should it be on a second screen, or should it be a game in its own right?
So is this about repurposing as well? So the repurposing of the material and taking that and just using it in a different way? So, for instance, broadcasters are getting more bang for their buck, if you like.
They are. There's something else, another route, another media, another route you can take that IP that you have. You have successful content, you have really high quality content. Maybe there's more we can do with it. Maybe we should be taking this into a gaming experience. Maybe we need an interactive experience with this content. And I think that's a really, really good thing to think about. But I'm not sure yet that most broadcasters are thinking about it in the right way.
And is that part of the issue? I was going to say problem, but is that part of the issue?
The challenge. The challenge is the word we like to use. Yes, I think that is part of the challenge. There's a few questions that need answering very early on which tend to get skipped over. And that's why I think quite often so far in what we've come up, we've seen a big range of success from very little to hugely successful. I think it's a bit of a shotgun approach. People are making a lot of assumptions. We have good popular content here. If we make a gaming experience out of it, that will also be popular. It's not the case necessarily.
So it's part of your job, as it were, and part of this seminar today is perhaps educating broadcast producers as to this is what's
That's
available.
what I'd like to do. I'd like to just give a few brief lessons and maybe things to think about very early on when you first have that idea that we could be doing something interactive here. Just a few early questions you really need to be looking at huge hurdles are going to be leapt just by answering a couple of really simple questions early on. And it's stuff that really, that experience needs to come from the games industry.
Can you give us a very quick, small example of something that you've worked on or something that is working that you see as a good example of this?
Well, rather than, I prefer not to talk about something specific right now.
Right now.
But in general...
Let me rephrase the question.
Sure.
Can you tell me something in general that you think is working
in general that I think is working quite well? Actually, a jurian from Endemol Games, who I'm going to be chatting with later on the panel, they've done a fantastic job of really drilling down into the content that they had that was properly suitable for gaming, properly suitable for an interactive experience, and then not just repurposing it, readdressing it completely afresh, and really looking at what the user would actually want, what kind of user, profile that user, who are we aiming for, what do they want, what's the appropriate content, bam. I think they've done an amazing job.
Brilliant. Remind us when the seminar is, what time for those that are here at the show, or we're going to make it down here?
I think it's about 1:30, I think, Arthur.
About
I shall have to check.
I will check, and I will tell them when we come
Thank
back.
you very much.
Very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
For chatting.
Thanks very much.
Have a good rest of the show, and enjoy the seminar. Thank you very much. Right, more guests coming up on the sofa, who, I don't know, it's going to be a surprise to me as it is to you. But of course, during the show yesterday, John was out and about having a good look round, having a little nose around some kit and chatting to a few people. Who was he chatting to yesterday? Let's take a look, shall we?
I'm here on the JVC stand, and I've got John Kelly with me. Hi, John. Good to see you.
How are you?
Very good. Now, one thing, beautiful bike you've got here, I have to say. Very impressive.
Shiny.
Absolutely. Now, we've got a number of cameras pointing at this bike, but we want to talk about one in specific, which is the GY HM 850.
Indeed,
something I know I personally have been waiting for a long time. Should we go around and have a look?
We can, of course, yep.
So this is the first time that I've seen this camera. Is this the first time this has been shown, certainly in the UK?
And in actual fact, we just received, this is a sample of the camera, just received it a couple of days ago. So it's the first time in Europe actually that anyone has seen it, so it's quite an exciting time for us.
So for those of us who don't know, tell us a little bit about the camera that we're looking at.
Yeah, so fundamentally, starting in the form factor of the camera, it's what we call a compact shoulder form factor. So it sits very nicely on the shoulder, so the weight and balance of the camera is excellent. It has a detachable lens on the front end, and starting from the front end, it comes with a standard, a newly developed Fujian 20 times lens. Now it's a very interesting lens. It's a hybrid lens because it offers both manual and autofocus capability in a detachable lens. Yeah. It also has a built-in optical stabilizer. So in terms of flexibility, being a detachable lens, it gives a lot of performance benefits. Also in the front end of the camera, it has 3 newly developed high-resolution CMOS sensors, so latest generation, offering outstanding sensitivity of f12 at 2000 lux. So if you're shooting in challenging light conditions, it gives you excellent performance. And that's coupled with a form factor of cameras I mentioned that really nicely laid out from a professional user's point of view. So in terms of buttons, switches, gain, shutter, white balance, the orientation of the camera is really good, whether it's on a tripod or whether you're shooting on the shoulder.
So something I know that JVC's always been ahead of the game on is certainly the live streaming aspects of your cameras and the remote control of them. Is it the same with these?
Yeah, that's right. It's another set of features we've added into the 850 and the 890 cameras. So basically what we offer in terms of network connectivity is the ability to do 3 fundamental things. One is to do live streaming directly from the camera with no additional hardware required. Secondly is to do remote camera control, so you can fully control the camera over IP, so whether from an Android tablet, iPhone, iPad, PC, laptop, so zoom, focus, gain, white balance, everything is controllable over an IP web browser. Then the final bit of web functionality is to FTP transfer files. So you can either transfer files under the control of the camera operator, or now with the 850 and 890, also back from the control room base, so you can pull content back over IP under the control of the gallery effectively. And that's all through a browser window that you can see here. We're running it on a tablet here, for example. And that's all enabled, as we're doing through here. It uses a USB host, so you can plug in, for example, well, a wired LAN dongle, as we're doing here, or a Wi-Fi dongle, or 3G or 4G. So it's a modular system that you equip according to the network environment that you're in.
And as far as recording format, what does this record onto? Okay,
well, this is another very important development in the 850 and 890 cameras. So what we have here firstly is 2 SDHC or SDXC recording card slots. Now you can do a number of, let's say, quite basic things in this. So you can record, for example, to 2 cards in parallel. You record from A to B contiguously with no drop frames. This is all, let's say, quite standard functionality. But what we can also do is record different formats to card A and to card B. So for example, that could be HD to card A and a standard definition file to card B if you want to do a quick SD edit, for example. You can also record a low resolution proxy file that you may want to transfer out using, for example, the networking and FTP capability. But also we add in, with the new codec capability of this camera, is recording in H.264 format up to 50 megabits per second. And this is therefore JVC's first 50 megabit per second recording camera. That's obviously quite an important development for us.
That's brilliant. Now, I know some people will ask, but obviously the sensor on this, what's the native resolution of the sensor on this now?
Full HD resolution, 1920 1080, as I say, latest generation CMOS. So full HD resolution, really good image quality, and as I mentioned, f12 sensitivity at 2000 lux, so really great in low light.
John, that's great. Well, this is the first time we've seen it. I'm going to have to ask you, what's the availability of this unit?
Availability is end of March. Yep. So very short turnaround between our announcement date, which is a few weeks ago, to actually shipping the product. We really tried to keep as tight a timescale as possible, and it means customers now at the show can order and get the camera within a month.
Fantastic, John. And I know you guys always keep up to date with updating these cameras as far as firmware and extra features are concerned. And of course, that can be found on your website and obviously information about this. So if you could let us know what your website address is.
Yeah, it's www.jvcpro.co.uk.
John, thank you very much. This is a fantastic camera and something I've been dying to get my hands on, and I'll have a little play with it later on. Obviously, you can find that information on their website about this, and of course, the full range of JVC cameras. We're doing a lot here at Broadcast Show. If you're not catching it live, then you can find it on our website, which of course is broadcastshow.com.
Thank you, John. That was John at JVC. Of course, he's around on the show floor. He'll be on the sofa with me a little bit later on, actually. We'll be chatting about 4K with a few other people. Just one amendment to that last interview. Tom Page, 1 p.m. The seminar is. So make sure if you're here at the show, you get down there and have a little look. You can learn all about the gaming and the second screen stuff that we were talking about. Now, if you want John to go and look at something specific here at the show, email us live at broadcastshow.com. You're in control of John and the crew. They'll go where you want them to go. So drop those emails in, or of course follow us on Twitter, Broadcast Show, @BroadcastShow, with the hashtag BVE14. Now, I said the next guest was a surprise to me. He's here to save the day. John Dolan, great to have you with us.
Yeah, pleased to meet you.
Thanks for stepping in last minute, John. You're from B-Sky B. Tell me all about yourself. Number one, what's your name? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
Okay, so my name's John Dolan. I'm from B-Sky B. I've been at Sky for about 14 years, and currently I work in Sky's R&D area. Over the last 2 or 3 years, I've been managing a team called Immersive Entertainment, which is looking at how does Sky go beyond our sort of HD and multi-channels audio.
So, of course, on this half hour of the show, we're looking forward to the seminars and to the panels that are happening later today, and you're involved in one later on. Do you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, I got roped in by by the senior sound supervisor at Sky to come and talk about immersive audio. I think it's called immersive audio. Can it be delivered across multi-platforms?
Okay, excellent. And what are you going to be talking about?
I'm hoping I'll give a different perspective to maybe I think there's mainly sort of sound supervisors on there. I'm not a sound engineer by as a background, but I spend a lot of time looking at market research, and I want to bring a perspective from a customer's point of view.
Okay, so bringing that perspective from the customer's point of view, what is it the customer's after, or what is it you want the customer to be after, as it were?
Well, I think the main question is just what is immersive audio and how do customers feel about it? I think, at Sky ourselves, we started our immersive audio back in 2002 when we introduced 5.1 surround sound onto our movies widescreen service before HD came along. And obviously we've progressed with that. In 2005, I think we introduced it into our sports broadcast. And we continue to carry on with 5.1. 10 years later, we've still got it across the majority of our 70-odd channels. I think what is interesting is just the amount of people that actually listen to 5.1 on a daily basis. And recent research suggests that the number's not quite where we'd like it to be. And I think we've got to draw some conclusions about why that is. And I think, from the recent studies that are coming out is that 5.1 for home use is quite complicated. It's sometimes expensive, it's sometimes difficult to set up, and then there's the aesthetic appeal of running speakers and cables around your home. So there is a percentage out there that do have sound systems. There's many people that are just listening to audio across 2-channel stereo on the TV.
So is that a point of you getting involved with manufacturers and talking to them and working out how maybe 5.1 can be made simpler within the home, so Sky becomes a driving force behind that?
Yeah, I mean, so we always like to put blue water between us and the competitors, so yeah, we're always going to sort of look at 5.1. But the real question is about how do we expand that out, and how do we reach those customers that can't get into that experience? I think what you're seeing at the moment is that customers do care about audio, particularly when they can't hear it properly. And there was a study just done by BBC just recently, which was saying that 22% of the complaints they get into about their programming is to do with audio. And a lot of that's to do with things to do with not being able to hear the talent when they're talking, and that's either because of background noise, maybe that's the audience, maybe it's a stadium crowd, but also just dealing with things like background noise and wind blowing into a mic. So these are the kind of things that we have. And obviously as we get older, our hearing kind of starts to sort of degrade over time.
Sorry, what was that?
Exactly.
Yeah, my first of the day, yes. So Do you think this goes back to production as well? So we start off with production. You talk to a lot of people within production, particularly sound ops. Sound can often be the first thing to go.
Yeah.
So it's producer directors or shooting assistant directors and stuff. Do you think that's where part of your problem starts, as it were?
I think we've got some of the best sound supervisors in the world, particularly for doing live. These guys do it day in, day out, and are very good at what they do. And I think the real thing is that obviously is really how the customers are playing back on their television. I think what we're seeing is just, I mean, if we talk about TVs, I mean, go on to other devices, but for TVs themselves, there's an aesthetic appeal to have your TVs thinner. And that means the drivers, the speakers that you're seeing are now the size of milk bottle tops and probably about as thick. So suddenly when people are talking on TVs now, you get which you can't hear. So I think there's an aspect of that we need to try and improve and work out how we get there. It's not surprising that sound bars for these kind of single cabinet speakers, Sony TVs are starting to be a growing trend for customers. But I think there's other things that we can start to do with sound. Sound for me is a very passive experience. You'll get what you're given. And we don't take into account of your own hearing ability and how you might want to personalize that experience. And there are technologies around audio on the horizon which will allow us to maybe start to allow you to have more of an option about how you want to hear sound.
So what is the consideration? Because it's really interesting, obviously, with the tablets, watching a lot more TV. So obviously with Sky Go on there, and how's that considered with the? Because part of it is if you're going to sit and watch it without a set of headphones, we know the sound's not going to be great, but you're still going to want to hear. But with the headphones in, obviously, it's different to watching it on the telly. How's that all that considered?
I think what you find there's a number of aspects. So the aspect you have with companion devices, whether it's mobile phones or tablets, is it's a really fragmented market. There's so many different devices out there with different capabilities. And Sky's all about giving you as much access to our content everywhere and anywhere that you want to access it. And that means that obviously we're delivering to a fragmented market for video. Now when you start to layer on the capabilities of audio over the top of that, where that might be stereo 2.1, where it's kind of binaural experience, those kind of complexities get doubled and sometimes more. And it's very hard sometimes in the industry to make audio as important as video. Video is always a big thing. If you go around talking today, there's lots of people talking about 4K and Ultra HD. There'll be less people talking about audio. So it's people like myself and other people that will be on the panel to try and explain to people why audio is so important.
And it's a big thing because the video ain't nothing without the audio.
It's absolutely nothing. And what audio allows you to do from a visual experience, one, it invokes a motive feeling about the content. Like you said, if you try watching that audio, you feel nothing for the content. But more importantly, it makes the story larger than the frame of your companion device or the TV. It makes it feel a lot bigger.
Reminders, so to hear more about this, when's the seminar later today?
The seminar is at 3 o'clock today, I believe.
All right, brilliant. John, thank you very much for jumping in. It's been great talking to you. We'll wish you very best of luck with that seminar and having a good look around the show. Cheers, mate. Thank you. And for the rest of you out there, if you want to get down to the show, there's still plenty to see. And if you can't make it, we'll be bringing it to you throughout the day. Remember, keep in touch with us. Broadcast Show, at Broadcast Show is the Twitter with the hashtag BVE14. Or, of course, if you want to send John and the crew out to look at a specific bit of kit or go and chat to someone live at BroadcastShow.com. Thanks to all my guests in this half hour or so. Loads more coming your way, so stay tuned here at BVE 2014.